So please welcome Marco Williams to the show. Welcome, Marco.
How's it going? Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. And you are coming from where?
I'm from Maryland,
Oh, that's
uh,
right, Maryland.
about 20 minutes outside of DC.
Okay. I met
And where are you from? I don't think we
San
got to.
Diego.
Oh, okay. So we have a little bit of a time difference.
Yeah.
So 12 o'clock your time, 3 o'clock my time.
Yes. But I found you. I know it's becoming probably everyone's saying this on Instagram. I don't have TikTok, so I know you're on that one, but it was the Instagram that caught my attention. And then you were speaking to me, and I said, "Oh my gosh, what a fun interview this would be with Marco to be on the show and uncovering your magic."
What particular video did you come across? You
All
don't
your
mind?
videos. What are you talking about? And then I went down the YouTube channel rabbit hole. And I just love how you see the world and see things. And I wanted you to come on because your story of how it began. I mean, you're just in your young 30s, early 30s. And when I meet people your age and I see this like the light bulb come on, it makes me go, oh, yay, like let's bring it on, right? Let's take this place to the next level. And that's what you're doing. And I think that's what attracts people to you as they see your it's authentic, it's real, it's like the um your story is relatable. I mean, relatable in a way that you're just a firefighter and like living life, and then all of a sudden this angel appears in your life, and then that's the pivot, that's the pivot in your life, I believe. But can we go back to, you can explain childhood or where you think, you started to uncover your magic?
Okay, well, that is a great question to lead off into, but honestly, you were kind of hitting it on the right track where I grew up in a predominantly Christian household, and I always had that type of mindset that I always questioned what I was being taught or what was someone was telling me. I'd say, but what about this? How come I there were certain answers that I just wasn't really resonating with, and I just wasn't feeling it here. And I'm more of a person that if I feel something internally or if I feel it up here, that's when I know that it's moving my soul. And for the longest, there was a lot of stuff from typical teachings and doctrines that I was just like, this doesn't make sense to me. Well, I wanted to know more of the origin, the why, or simple questions like why is math math? Why do we do the things that we do? And nobody provided me answers. And I think my childhood was a true way to show that I was meant to always be a questioner. Like in my human design, I'm an open mind. So I have space for all possibilities where I just am, you're not going to tell me one thing and I'm going to just go with it. I analyze everything. And now you see in my content, that's kind of what my content is geared towards, giving people a perspective of multiple perspectives of different points of view so they can make their own interpretations of what the video is about. Now, going to my career in the fire department is where I think my journey truly started. I had the near death experience patient who she said, I can't. I'm usually not allowed to tell why she passed away, but I can tell you that her heart did stop. And she said, I saw the beginning of time. I saw the end of time. I saw every life that I ever lived. And the part that stuck out to me was the every life that I ever lived part, where I've had my own visions of past lives. And I was just like, wait a minute. I kind of know what you're talking about here. This makes sense to me. So I harped on to that and I kind of just explored more into Eastern philosophy, Eastern religion, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, but you heavy on the Hinduism because Hinduism and Buddhism goes deep into reincarnation and there's more of a belief into that. Unlike my Christian faith and religion, I started exploring and I started to feel it here. I started to resonate because I learned that some of the visions and dreams that I was having wasn't just they weren't just dreams, they were past lives, all these different visions. And I think it really 2020 was what really activated the entire collective. We're starting to see with our real eyes. And I think that that's when one of my visions when I was in New Orleans for Mardi Gras, I saw a past life in New Orleans and I had this very vivid dream and I woke up immediately as I was going down the same. I remember there was Bourbon Street and then there was I would walk down Bourbon Street all the way down to Lafitte's blacksmith shop and I just mindlessly walked down this street not knowing why I did it. But when I went back to my hotel for a nap, that's when I had that vision of this life as a pirate or a bootlegger. And
Hmm.
I had this, the vision was more so of me fighting redcoats. There was a redcoat charging at me with a bayonet, and I instantly woke up and I was like, oh. Then I explored more and I found out that that bar was supposedly a front for Lafitte and his brother Pierre John Lafitte and his brother Pierre Lafitte, his blacksmith shop that they did smuggling operations out of. So I felt that here, and I was like, ah, I knew that. I got the tingles and the chills after hearing that. Now, am I saying that that was one of my past lives? It's a possibility, but it's like the Akasha showed me that that was one of my lives. And then I started exploring more in 2020 with past lives, doing my own past life regressions, well, having some done on me. And I had an interesting psychedelic experience that showed me more into the past lives. And I think that from that moment in the fire department, that is truly what got me to where I am now. And I am grateful for that moment and the woman who I encountered because she doesn't know the impact that she had on my life, but she is truthfully the reason where I am today and why I present the content, the thought provoking content that I have. Because I want everybody to be able to see that you don't have to believe everything that you're told. I want you to come and I want everybody to draw their own conclusions and see that, yeah, there's multiple possibilities. What we don't know everything that we think we know. Like everything that we're being told is not the truth. And I'm not getting too far into conspiracy, but I just know that if you feel it here, that is what's true to you. It doesn't matter what you believe in, but as long as you feel it internally, follow that feeling. And that's
Right.
kind of all I've been doing these past few years is just following that intuitive feel, that internal guidance that tells me you're on the right track. This is what you should look into and explore.
But was when you had that experience with the woman that died, how soon before 2020 was that? When was that?
So great question. Going back to the timeline, that was my junior year in the fire department. I was 2 years in, so that was 2016. I
Okay.
been around a lot of death prior to that, but I was it came this kind of came to me at a time when a unique time in my life where I was kind of in the middle of finding myself. I was on a process of breaking up with the mother of my kids, where we've been together for almost 9 years. And there was this internal conflict within me because she kind of represented the old me where she hears something, she believes it, and she's very into the faith. And me, I was just like, I'm something's not lining up. I just want to explore more. So I started having this internal conflict naturally. And then I wanted more out of my life where I wasn't content where I was. I knew that there was something better. And then that was around the time frame where this encounter happened. And that was where I found my voice, honestly, where I knew that I wanted to do YouTube videos and I just didn't know what to talk about. I didn't know what to. My dad would always say, you should do YouTube videos. You have a lot that you talk about. And I was like, I don't know what I want to talk about. So
Mhm.
after that defining moment, I kind of found my voice because I started doing the research and I started to learn more. And then once I feel like I fully absorbed it, that's when I started just telling people what I've learned over the years. And that's when I say I found my voice in 2020, because even 2020 wasn't the best year for me as well. I was internally not the best version of myself. Uh, Mentally, I wasn't there. I wasn't the best towards women because I was filling a void. I had to do my own shadow work to have that internal coming to Jesus moment saying, hey, look, you're not treating these women right because you're filling a void of being in such a long relationship. And yes, you can learn all this knowledge, but your true spiritual journey starts within yourself. You have to come about and recognize these inner demons that you're hiding, the stuff that you think that you put away, but it's projecting onto how you treat women. So I wasn't the best towards how I was treating the women. I was lying, cheating, manipulating, and then
You?
me, yeah.
Oh,
It just it was one of those things until I met the partner I'm with now. I That's why when everyone asks me what is the first part of your spiritual journey, I always say start with yourself, start with your own shadow work, because you're going to pull out some stuff that you don't realize you had, and you're going to see how this is why you're projecting this way, and it's stopping you from becoming your ultimate best self. And after having that moment, I'd say that's when my voice truly started to flow, because I was aligning with, okay, I don't want to treat women bad. And I also want to teach what I've learned over the years. But it started with that internal journey. So from 2016 to 2020, I was learning, but I wasn't applying it. After 2022, that's when I learned and started to apply what I was learning. And that's when I think the universe rewarded me with growth. I started to build a bigger community, and now like-minded individuals who are on the same path. And I meet wonderful beings like you along the journey.
oh, I love it. When you say, you've had that moment where decided to not be the person that treated women the way you did, and is there something that you woke up to that, like, is it just one day this light goes on and you say, this is just not the person that I want to be?
I'd say my current partner, she was the one. I always say she was the awakened masculine that awakened me,
Hmm.
where she saw my my struggles. She was seeing how, just reflecting on my path, she was like, why did you always hang out with women? Why did you need social media to gratify you? Why didn't you have that internal work in yourself? And it was like a part of me was triggered because I didn't want to hear this. I was just like, I have worth. What are you talking about? But she was right. I was like, you know what? I reflected on the fact that I was taking a lot of pictures, because I was also modeling at the time, and I was taking a lot of pictures to obtain that instant gratification, because I was filling the void. And the attention that I was getting from social media was that it was a temporary high, but it wasn't a fulfilling long-term high. It wasn't, I needed to reflect on that to see that, oh, yes, you are right. You shine light on what I was hiding. And my ego was triggered, the fact that you had the audacity to shine that light on me. But thank you for shining that light, because ever since she shine that light, my content shifted. I was no longer taking pictures. You look on my account now, there's not one picture of me unless it's the one with my book. But that's the only one. But I went from modeling to having this form of a I've discovered to love myself, and now I don't have pictures. I just have videos that just talk about my different perspectives. So I'd say she was the defining moment that really shined light on my flaws.
Hmm.
And once I recognized that, that's when everything truly started to align to where I am now.
But this book that you wrote, I mean, thinking of you and just even how soon recently it's been that you wrote this book, but you talk about manifesting and how something shifted in you and you like created $20,000. Like, so talk about how you look and how you share, the manifestation. I mean, that word we use a lot, but I think your story about that is really, something I want people to hear.
No problem. So my manifestation journey started back when I was modeling, believe it or not, where I was in a lot of debt, and I didn't know my mind's eye. That's why I have this tattoo as a
Oh,
reminder. See with your mind's eye, the eye of Horus protection, but it's a reminder to always see the bigger picture first, and trust your intuition and listen to the universe. So that's how the book really, the book's been a work in progress for years. It just was a matter of me putting all the information together. But going back to 2016, that's truthfully where it started, where I started to learn about this inner energy that we all have within us. And I was in a lot of debt. I started working a lot of overtime, but I was starting to realize like I'm losing a lot of time and my energy is just being depleted because I'm chasing the dollar, which is something that is fake and we live by it in this realm. But I realized I was just constantly chasing it. So within 2 years of that, something just clicked in me. I don't know what it was, to be honest, but I said, let me just write down my debt. I had a picture where I wrote down my debt and I said, okay, I have credit card debt, I have a car note, I have a lot of debt, and I feel like I'm drowning in it. And drowning being, it's a form of energy, like, or it's a current. You think about how these banks, they use these terms like drowning in debt, liquid assets, currency. Yes, I had to understand that money is a form of currency, and you have to take your power back within you and align to that currency. And when you take your power back, that's when money seems to follow you. But in
Right.
order to take your power back, you have to be grateful for where you are right now. You have to be grateful for the people who are in your life, the things that are you currently have. I can't think of this great quote, but a guy was talking, he left an amazing comment, and it like really puts things in perspective about how a homeless man was just grateful that he has clothes, as opposed to one homeless man who's just naked. Like this one, he's homeless, but he's grateful because the fact that he has clothes, and that enough is enough for him. But it's just like when we are grateful for what we currently have, that's when the universe kind of matches our internal frequency and it rewards us. So at the time, I was in the middle of, when I was doing my modeling journey, I put on 20 pounds of muscle, and that led to me modeling, and it led to other opportunities to where people wanted to reach out and work with me. And I was starting to receive a form of an income just by doing stuff. And I learned through working out that being present in the moment, the gym was my meditation, and it was a form of how I gathered these thoughts. And I saw how when I was present and in the moment and grateful for where I was, that's when amazing opportunities came about. So a woman reached out to me and was like, hey, after I wrote this stuff, mind you, a woman reached out to me and was like, hey, I have an opportunity for this game show. I think you have the perfect look for it. I want you to be on it. I was like, sure, why not? And I get there. The amazing story is I get there and I go through this whole interview process, and she tells me to say something very embarrassing that's happened to me. And I think I told her about my childhood experience where I like actually used the bathroom on myself in elementary school or middle school, and that was enough to get me on the show. And then once I got to the show, I was luckily enough to be in a situation to where they were just doing boys versus girls. So there was only two shows, and they were doing two tapings, and there was only two boys, and I was like, oh, I'm a shoe-in for this. And while I was on the show, I was losing really bad. I was down one question, and I would have been eliminated, and the tables turned. But I thought back, like, I'm not meant to lose this, because prior to uh being on that show, when I arrived in New York City, I helped a homeless guy out, and the receipt said $8.88. And I knew that was the universe way of speaking to me, that abundance was coming to me on my way because I was helping somebody out. And I'm not saying just because you help someone out, that means you're going to be rewarded. But the fact that this guy, I saw abundance. I was very familiar with numerology. I said something great is about to come. So even though I was losing, something within me internally said it's not meant for you to lose. And I won $20,000, which allowed me to pay off the debt. But that manifestation truly didn't play out until years later, because the debt that I was trying to pay off was my Jeep. It was one of my biggest financial regrets. That Jeep ended up getting in an accident what was it? Last year, 2 years ago. I'm sorry, we're in 2024. Two
Right?
years ago, the end of December, that Jeep, I get in an accident and the Jeep is totaled. The insurance company pays it off. So it's like, even though I wrote those manifestations years ago, they still came into fruition. And that was because I was grateful for where I was. And I had this inner knowing, and I saw with my mind's eye that I'm going to be able to pay off this debt. But it wasn't just about the luck that came along with it, these opportunities, but it was also teaching manifestation. Like, this is how it works. Just believe in yourself, see with your mind's eye, take action, write your stuff out, and started to teach this over social media. And that led to a form of income. And I luckily had a large following that came from just teaching what I know, and I got out of my debt. So it's just, you're when we manifest, we really have to be grateful of where we are and really think that, are you ready for what's about to come in your life? Because if you see it, your thoughts are powerful. Your thoughts are energy. And if you keep giving them, if you keep feeding this energy, it's going to bless you. And that's why I knew that I had to shift my thoughts from thinking of the lack of not having money to thinking of the, what is my life like? What is my life like with money? I started to think of money as just a subsurface level form of manifestation, where I'm like, let's go beyond that. Let's think of, I want to manifest a life where I have my time back. I want time, not money. Time is more valuable than money. So if I manifest having my time back, that means money is already following. So I don't have to manifest money. I want to manifest a life of abundance of time, having the ability to see the people that I love. Because I think my biggest motivation is knowing that my grandfather, he turns 90 pretty soon. So I know that he doesn't have that much time. So my motivation was, let me get my time back so I can be able to spend time with the loved ones that I have. And I think that's truthfully when the universe rewarded me, because I realized how grateful I am to have people in my life along my journey, and how I want to see them. And that is my motivation, not the money. Like, everyone asks me, do you, because I plan on retiring from the fire department next year. And a lot of people constantly ask me, they're like, well, what about the money? Like, why would you only want to stay for 10 years? And do you care about the money that you're not going to get? I'm like, I'm not caring about the money, because my mind's eye already knows that money's going to be there. It's not going to be the issue. I want my time, because I don't know if I'm guaranteed 50 years after this. I don't know who's guaranteed to be along here on this journey with me. So I want my time to see them. And I think that's when it comes to manifestation. You manifest a long-term goal that allows the short term stuff to play out, which is money. Money, I tell people all the time, you don't want to constantly manifest money, because that's going to constantly keep you in a cycle of manifesting, and you won't enjoy the journey because you're thinking of this constant lack. You want more. It is the love of money that is the root of evil. You see how we exist in this realm where, if you follow the money, you see how everything is dictated by money and the greed for it, because this world is in a form of lust, and we are searching for love, and money is that lust, and it keeps us in this lower energy space. So I think understanding that is what allowed me to kind of stop looking at money as an obstacle. I started to look beyond it, and I think that's when I was truly rewarded with my manifestations.
Yeah, I love it. I just love hearing stories of, I always say it's magic, but it's the vibration and it's the frequencies, and how you describe um, your magic when you, I don't know, just so that excites me. And I'm a mom, so I love teaching my girls that, and how just stories like that change your, like makes people realize, like, it's not um, this far off dream. It's right here within you, and we have everything within us.
How old are your daughters?
15 and 17.
Okay, so they're at that perfect age where you can they're getting their own thought process, and you can kind of guide them, but they're going to do what they want to do.
Right.
And Are you one of those parents that is very open-minded to, like, because I know my parent, well, my dad in particular, he was one of those type of parents that said, I will support you, whatever it is you want to do. I don't care if you go to college. I don't care if you do this. Just pursue what you're passionate about. And that's what I've been doing ever since. I wasn't the one that when I went to college, I was like, I don't I don't really know what I'm doing here. I just
Right.
taking classes, but it was just like I'm appreciative for my parents where my dad was one of the ones who was like, just beat to your own drum, support, do what you love doing, and the rest will follow. I don't care if you love making coffee for people at Starbucks. Like if you love doing that, then guess what? That's making your soul happy. So if you have this internal fulfilling thing that you're doing and you don't care what the external think, then you will live a life of abundance in itself. So that's why I'm asking you, are you one of those parents that just allows them to just flow with
Oh
what?
gosh, Marco, I am so one of those parents. In fact, I'm a teenage coach. I help teenagers with mindset. And when that it's a passion, it has to be about past life thing because I just, with my girls, it's this, whatever there's a spark in them and they want to do something, let's go down that path. I don't know where it's going to lead, but they know that too, and they trust it. And it's about, it's like when I always explain, like, you get an inspired thought. You talk a lot about higher self and how that getting that relationship with your higher self and understanding that connection. And I teach that to them. And it's that connection where it's leading you. I don't know. It's I always say breadcrumbs, but it's like you keep following the breadcrumbs and I just know that you just keep listening and going and listening and going. And there's no the minute that fear hits, you just I always say push past it because there's magic right after that. Just keep going. But yes, I'm to the probably the extreme of the passion parent. And the girls know and they live their life like that way. And I love it. But I want to get into some deep stuff. I want to get into, you start reading books and I mean, we have like Dolores Cannon, The Law of One. I mean, there's so many books that you bring up that I relate to and have read. And I've interviewed people. Do you know Aaron Apke?
Yes, I think he talks a lot about the same similar stuff that
Yes.
I talk about. We're
So
very
I would say, yeah. So I was listening to you talk about the Law of One, and I remember it was a couple years ago that I had this interview with Aaron, and I remember listening to it. So what it did for me when I started going down your rabbit hole and listening to the Law of One again, because it's in my head, but when I was interviewing when I was there 2 years ago and really trying to understand it, I realize now with you, I get it more. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've grown. Like I've expanded my mind. So now I'm understanding. And maybe like, could you explain like what drew you to the Law of One and kind of explain to people in your, like how you can go down the densities? Because I think it's fascinating because I feel like everyone listening now that listened 2 years ago will get it now better because of where we're at um, in our growth.
Absolutely. It's one of those things when a student is ready, the teacher will reveal himself. And that was kind of how the law of one presented itself for me, where I'd be lying to you if I'd say I got it instantly as I read it. It took time for me to truthfully comprehend it. And I started to think of it from a biology perspective, because that's what I studied in school was when I was becoming a paramedic, I had to look into biology. And I started thinking of it on a microbiology level. I think not to get off topic, but there's a book called the ISIS thesis that kind of got me to the law of one,
Mm.
but it goes on the microbiology level of how the phage lambda is one of these dormant, this it's in our microbiome and it's supposed to guide us to this next level of spiritual ascension. And it's the reason why we can navigate through a room and sense people's auras. But as we evolve, we're supposed to merge with the next with or they say the ferry boat phage is what they call it. And you see the what is it? The northern lights are the souls that are escaping this matrix. But going back to the law of one, it was like I think I started off with the ISIS thesis. I think Amazon suggested the Law of One, and I checked it out. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I got it. And I was like, I don't get this. What is this talking about? But understanding how the density raw is this entity that talks from this higher perspective, I started to have my own psychedelic moments where I, it made sense after having a psychedelic moment, to be honest, where I realized that my consciousness is in a different form of density than where I am, where my consciousness comes back and helps me. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Interstellar, but I'm gonna get back to that point, but break down like the first level of evolution where we see it's where Earth is being molded and formed and whatnot. And then we move on from there to uh, autonomous movement, where life is starting to form. I think that's what truthfully got me into the Law of One, where you look at the Big Bang and you look at how the planet was formed, you see how the evolution of consciousness is constantly playing out. Then you get to the third density where us humans currently are, where we are in this knowing stage, but we forget how many incarnations we had. So I've read a lot about reincarnation. So the fact that, excuse me, that the Law of One said that humans are on this in the third density, there's a form of reincarnation that is taking place for over 90,000 years, I believe. We're constantly being reincarnated, and it aligned to a lot of the stuff where the Gnostics talk about this soul trap, where our energy is being harvested. But there are people that come along the way that teach and show that this world is a form of illusion. So Yahshua, Jesus, and these ascended masters who are operating in this fourth density are the ones who are coming back to share their consciousness with our 3D selves. And then what's interesting from there is once you move on from that density, you go on to the fifth density where you give a service to yourself. And the best example of that is the movie Interstellar. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
I haven't, but I hear you talk about that a lot. That in the Matrix, and there's a few others. And the soul.
Yes. So there's a scene in Interstellar where Matthew McConaughey's character gets stuck in the Tesseract. And this is a fifth dimensional space where he can operate time at any point in any space and time he wants to go to. But it's a frequency that connects him, and it's love. He has the love for his daughter. So the fact that his higher self or these beings knew that he had this frequency within him, to that was why he was allowed to go into the Tesseract, to be able to maneuver through space and time. And I look at time as a form of a book, where we think of time in a 3D perspective as this flat. If I want to go from the year I was born, 1991, to 2024, it's just like this. But when you get into these other densities, time operates in like you can go anywhere, any point. It's stacked on top of each other, acting simultaneously. So that's what this fifth density being has to do. It has to go back in time and give a service to self. And that's why I say your intuition is that fifth density being that is operating from a different space and time, that is nudging you like, hey, don't do this. Because if you go down that alley, something bad's going to happen. I lived through this space and time already. I was recently watching Men in Black, and there was the third one that came out, and there was this alien named Griff, and he was a fifth density being, and he was one of those beings that can stand in one place, and he's seen multiple events playing out. So that movie did a great job of representing of what it's like to be a fifth density being in a three-dimensional space where you see all outcomes, but it's overwhelming because all these outcomes are playing out. But if you are in that fifth density, then you are in a space of being able to guide yourself. That's why Willow Smith in her song says, wait a minute, I think I left my consciousness in the, I think she
Six.
says sixth
Six.
dimension. Yeah. So you have to go back from these higher densities to give a service to yourself. And after that service to yourself, you move on to the next octaves where you continue to master your craft and learn. I don't think the Raw Collective moved on from the seventh density, if I'm not mistaken, but it's unknown what the eighth density is true, what it truly involves, but we know that it's essentially, I look at it as from the Gnostics perspective of it's when you escape this particular matrix and you go on to the next octave, which consists of who knows what. It could be You done what you were supposed to do. And we think of time as this, like we have these million year incarnation cycles, but that's nothing in the grand scheme of things. Like where you move on to the eighth density, who knows if you are possibly an omnipotent being who have seen through all lives. And this is going to the Andy Weir, well, not the egg story, where it's just like he's living all these incarnations and experiencing it out as everyone. And it is until he's lived through all lives that he becomes an omnipotent God, because
Right.
he's seen everything. And that's where he gets to the point where he can reflect back to his past self and tell the story. You died in this accident, but now you're going to go back and be a peasant in China. Now you're going to go back and live this life. I am you essentially, but you will eventually get here. You just have to live through all lives. And that's one of the big reasons why my name on TikTok is We Are One, because it's seeing that I know that we are an extension of the one divine infinite creator, and we're experiencing consciousness in these human forms and living it out. And that's why certain books like the Law of One, the Gnostic teachings really resonate with me more so than a religion that I was brought up with, because I felt it here, as I said in the beginning of the story. Now, I'm not saying everything in the Law of One is truth, but there's a lot of stuff that I do resonate because you could see how it correlates. Oh, my light just died. I don't know how that happened, but you could see how it correlates with Gnostic teachings. And I think that's truthfully what I was most interested in, was the Gnostic teachings, of how that relates to escaping the Matrix. One of my favorite movies. When the Matrix was a movie, I think I was like 8. When that came out, I think I was 8 years old,
Oh,
and I don't
fun.
know why I had this obsession with it, but I was really obsessed with how it just it's something within it just called me about this form of escapism, where you think about the current reality that you're living in isn't the real reality. It's an illusion. And then I just from there just started thinking, well, what if we are in this form of an illusion? Who's to say that the life that I'm living is hasn't already been lived? Like I just started questioning so much. And then as I discovered the Gnostic teachings, that's when it was like the aha moment kicked on, where I was like, this is what the Gnostics teach about. This is the in a nutshell, it's escaping this plane. And you compare the machines to the archons, which are here to harvest in our energy. And you really start to see, like, okay, it makes sense that us humans are being harvested, because what did I say earlier in this conversation? Money is a form of energy, and it's a form of currency that is enslaving humanity. We are currently slave to the dollar. We're in debt. There we go. Let there be light.
There's light.
So we're in debt, and we're enslaved to this debt, and we have murder, you have wars on this planet. And it's just like, yeah, Gnostics teach how the God of the Old Testament is essentially the devil. He's essentially the one who's tricking humanity into coming back. But they say that the most divine, or the most high in the divine pleroma, is the one who sends Yahshua, Jesus, onto this realm to teach the people how to escape this realm. So Jesus doesn't, to me, seem what he is in the Bible. He is this teacher, just like a lot of people on here who have this inner knowing, that are just here to help assist this next journey into the next octave, as the Law of One states, another octave, or the next density of
Right.
space.
So do you feel like when you look at the law of one, the purpose of life is to get past the eighth density?
I think the purpose of life, honestly, I look at it from a not just the Law of One perspective. I look at it from the Gnostic point of view, where we are supposed to, if this is an illusionary world, we're supposed to have balance. And that's why we're yin and yang, because it represents the balance of everything, the ebbs and flow of life. So we're not supposed to get too caught up in the spirituality side of, oh, I'm going to be saved by this savior. And we're not supposed to get too caught up in the materialistic side of being tied to money, wanting to constantly have money, wanting to worship these celebrities, wanting to come back to this planet after you die because you're so caught up. Both of those, you need to be aligned with having both perspectives of, yes, I appreciate the life that I have. I appreciate the beauty of this planet. I'm not too far stuck on the fact that we are in there's I don't have this form of savior mentality where someone's going to save me, and I'm not too far over to the right where I'm thinking that yes, there is um I want to come back to this world because I didn't have I had so many unfulfilled tasks. We have that balance, and that's I think how we truthfully escape this realm is when we have that alignment and we're not too far delusional on both sides. I did a video that kind of demonstrated that where the guy with the yin and yang hits the one guy arguing about the aliens that are coming to save us, and the other guys arguing about Jesus. And I think that that video was the perfect example of showing that you have two sides of the spectrum where people just are both in a form of escapism. They want these eternal savior or the Galactic Federation to save them. And you got the other side who's completely oblivious to their spiritual side, but they're so caught up in the materialistic world. They're caught up in the monarchy of the kings and queens. They're caught up in celebrity gossip, sports, the matrix, essentially. So you got the people who are stuck in the matrix and the people who are thinking they're escaping the matrix, but and they're waiting for escape an external savior, but they're not balanced in line with themselves. And I think the ones who are aligned are the ones who truly escape. So looking at it from that perspective, I think that's how I think about it.
An escape, you mean like escape and not ever come back into a human, or like
Yes, I think that is how you escape this octave, this density where you mastered both sides. You're aware of your spiritual side. You're aware that you need to focus on the present, have mindfulness. You're accepting that whatever happens, happens. You go with the flow. You aren't caught up in your materialistic accolades that keep you human. Because the ones who I think the movie Soul was a perfect example of this, where he was so pressed on coming back after he didn't live up to his big moment. He wanted to play out as a musician, and his soul was so drawn to coming back, but there was a one soul that was there to guide him, essentially, where she comes and experiences what it's like to be a human. She found her calling to come to Earth because she wanted to she enjoyed the human experience, which a lot of us fail to enjoy. When you enjoy it's the opposite of the movie Soul. When you enjoy the human experience, that is when you escape. As opposed to in the movie Soul, she had to experience the human experience to come here. I think what Disney did is they played the Uno reverse card where they said, okay, she came here to enjoy this human experience, and that's how she got her Earth pass. But souls are really supposed to escape this prison planet or this human experience by having the human experience, enjoying the people that come in your life, enjoying the little things, the finer things of nature. So appreciating this illusionary world, not being so far over to the right, thinking that it is in a form of escape, and not being so far on the other side, thinking of it as a form of uh celebrity worship or just worship to other things that don't serve your human self.
right. Thinking you were born in 1991, that's just crazy to me. I'm 55, by the way, so I graduated from high school in 87. Um, but when I think of the age of you and my girls and the people that my soul tribe that I'm attracting right now, like it's amazing to feel this, like it's like a magnet where we're all like on the same path and we're connecting. But I know that, how do you see people, like we chose to come, like you, for example, like your soul was led to come back here to shift the energy on the planet and get them to get higher in the octaves. I mean, the densities. How do you see that?
I know that I'm an old soul, and I know that there's part of me that feels that I did not fulfill these it wasn't the time for me back then. I wasn't the knowledge that we have today in this new age, we couldn't share that back then because we were still ruled under the age of Pisces. So as us being ruled with that, people were being persecuted. You look at the royal bloodline, how they put it in people's head where you have to worship a certain religion. If you don't, we behead you. So it's just like there was a lack of thought. And I think the reason the collective is waking up in this new age is because we are able to share these inner truths and we're starting to attract more like-minded individuals. So a lot of us are now coming back and fulfilling what we're supposed to fulfill in these past lives. But overall, I think that we're supposed to let bygones be bygones. We recognize that, yes, this did happen in the past, but I'm in this current lifetime now. And this is what I need to focus on. This is the mission I need to complete. I'm here to do this and I'm going to do it. But I can't get too far stuck with the materialistic aspect of things. I can't get too far stuck with the escapism aspect of things. I have to be perfectly centered and know my mission, be aware of the spiritual side, and be aware that these are the rules of the game that I have to play with right now, and just go about it from there. I was deleted multiple times on social media accounts, just sharing the same information. So it's just like the fact that I'm able to still share this information and not get canceled, so to say, I'm grateful for that, and I'll knock on wood. But the fact that now we are moving in this time where a lot of us are able to share this information and not have to worry about being canceled or deleted, that right there shows me that humanity is shifting in a different direction. But we still have a lot further to go. I mean, you look at what's going over on in the Middle East, like there's a lot of religious influences in that, and it's causing a lot of turmoil. And so humanity's not quite there yet. Humanity is still ruled by ego. And when we get out of this form of ego, we can move up to the state of love. And I think that's my overall mission, is to shift the collective in perspective of humanity.
Just listening to you talk, it's like, yes, you're an old soul for sure. And you have like this, like I could almost see past lives in you of what you were, like the leader, a speaker, where were you? Where is some past lives? Because I had past lives where I was like, like I saw myself in jail. I can still see like, um, I was always, my head was down. Like I was always trying to teach children like it was always as teacher, but I was being, murdered and all from parents that, and now it's funny because now I'm here teaching parents and children, but listening to the parents not understand yet, still living down here. I get to that funny. I know that's a past life for me. I know when someone gets where I'm at and how the importance of teaching children what we're talking about and
Yeah,
where they're, then that lights me up and I'm like, oh, she gets it. But I still get that feeling, and I know that feeling when it's triggered down here from somebody that, oh, if I say something about the law of attraction, right? Oh, I don't want to teach my children that. And so I get triggered. And I acknowledge that. And I know that it's from those visions of when I've had a past life regression where I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's just a process of me getting past that, which I'm very farther than I was a year ago, but it's just so fun to look at life in that way and see what pulls you. And I say that to my girls too, like the things that are pulling you, that are calling you, there's something to do with your soul, that it's either familiar, it's either something that you've been done before, you just keep going because that's fulfilling your soul, right?
yeah, and it's interesting you say that because my girlfriend, she's a Montessori teacher, and she has this thing where she says, "Find my eyes" to her students. And remember how I mentioned earlier how she is meant to shine light on the negativity within people, within humanity. So she was part of my journey. So speaking of past life journeys, I've saw many lives, but the ones, like one being in New Orleans, one being a gladiator, but the ones that the Akasha revealed that I needed the most healing one from was one of the ones with her and one of the ones with my son. Like those are the lives that it said, when you can close these chapters and heal this, you'll become lighter in the heart. You become lighter as a feather, as the Hall of Mayat says, where the Egyptians weigh the feather versus the heart. I felt after shining that light on those experiences, my heart was lighter. Now going back to your previous question about what do I see, I don't think I will return here. I believe that this is truthfully my last incarnation because now I have that lightness. I've recognized the things that hid in the shadows. And that's why this kind of year is more of a shadow work journey that I want to help others shine light on the inner demons that dwell within them by recognizing not just your past life, but where you are right now. Like, what is wrong in your life right now? What is going on? I know that the universe is aligning me to fulfill what wasn't being fulfilled in past lives, where I do feel as if I was a form of, I didn't explore that life because that wasn't the one that needed to exploring, but I've started taking Toastmasters. I'm taking all this stuff that's aligning me to becoming a better speaker because I foresee me speaking amongst the people again. And I
Mhm.
say again because I know for a fact within my soul that there was a time that I did, but the collective wasn't ready for what I had to say, but now they are.
I love
I
that.
think
So
I'm grateful alone in that. I think that's what my soul's just inside, like, yes, we're
yes,
here. This is the
right.
time.
Oh, it's so true. I had this my word for the year was connection when we started 2024. And I started doing I did a retreat in January, and it was like filled my soul, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the beginning. And but when you say like you took Toastmasters or something, and you're like, my soul inside is going, yes, Ashley, keep going. This is why you're here. You're bringing people together. You're teaching them you're uncovering their magic. And it's what it does, it light, that's what I try to teach these kids. It's like when you get lit up, there's a reason for that. There's something in there that's going, yes, you're, keep going, right?
Absolutely. I think what's motivating me more now with what I'm aligning to is not just helping the people, uh I want people to recognize their own passions. Because remember how I said we had that left and right side, the ones who are too far in escapism and the ones who are too far stuck in the matrix. The ones who are too far stuck in the matrix are the ones who are going to just go the rest of their life working 30 years of their life dedicated to a job or a corporation. I don't want that for people because I know that that's not them enjoying their life. I want people to realize the inner strength within them and wake that dormant side of them up that's screaming to get out and go pursue what makes you passionate because I don't want you coming back as well. When you do the things that fulfill your soul has no need to come back and you recognize the stuff that is keeping your soul back. I just feel that I'm aligning to a form of liberating the collective where whether I help 12 people out, like it'll still feel even if I just help 12 people out and that's all I touch for the rest of my life, I still feel fulfilled. I
Right,
know that I done something that helped others because and they teach you have to help others in this journey, help others escape once you realize what you know. Um, in my book, the opening monologue is essentially stating, imagine you're in a video game and you don't realize you're in a video game, but you realize that there's somebody playing you, which is your higher self. And your higher self is going to send you nudges to realize that you are being controlled, but you can navigate this realm however you want once you realize that there is a higher self guiding you. And then once you do realize that, you have the daunting task of helping others realize this as well. So it's not over once you realize it, it's over once you help others escape the illusion. And I think that is my true purpose in this particular incarnation, to heal the stuff that I was that to heal the stuff that kept me back and caused me to come back in this lifetime, but also to fulfill what I wasn't able to fulfill in past lives. But I let the rest be bygones.
right. Oh, I love it. Let's go into a few more minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I want to go into healing and in Egypt. My friends just got back from Egypt, and when you're talking about the pyramids, and in fact, always have this what is it, an
Orgone energy, organite.
orgone? Yeah, orgone energy. Um, everyone has one on their nightstand in this family, but explain how, because I love listening to you talk about the, the pyramids and healing and the things that happen in the pyramids.
That actually came to me in a dream where I had this dream that I saw humanity. What we know as humanity isn't truly what is humanity. Humanity, real humanity, is buried thousands of feet below the earth, like real deep under the core, what mainstream science doesn't talk about. But it talks of this dream revealed that there was a falling with the collective of humanity where we got too greedy, got started to be ruled by ego, and that's when the world was destroyed. So the pyramids, in their true power, they were healing centers, they were generators, they helped the collective heal, and we took that power away. Nikola Tesla tapped into that power, and since I said we are ruled by ego and greed, JP Morgan said if we can't have if I can't put a monitor on it or a meter on it, I don't want it. So that's why Edison gets more credit, but Nikola Tesla was one of those divine beings who tried to help humanity, but we were still in that age of Pisces and humanity wasn't ready for him. But Tesla knew the true power of the pyramids. You look at the word fire within, pyre, amid, fire within, there's fire in the middle. It was generators, it helped conduct electricity. There was so much potential that these pyramids had when it came to helping humanity, and we don't tap into it no more. There's a reason that these pyramids are still here. There's a reason that all of these megalithic structures that are connected on these ley lines, which are energy amplifiers, are still here. And we don't use it because we don't want people to unlock their higher self. We don't want to connect individuals, because that's when the dollar loses power. That's when people at top lose power. When they tap into the power of the ancient knowledge, they lose their control and they will keep us dormant. But that's one of the videos that was deleted on my last account, was one of my pyramid videos where I said, what if the pyramids were ancient power plants? They supplied free energy for the collective, and Tesla tapped into it, but Morgan didn't want that. Then I followed that up with how I was just saying a lot of stuff that where people they said, oh, you violated community guidelines, but I presented it as a what if, not stating facts. I said, what if the pharmaceutical industry was just intentionally poisoning us to keep us sick, giving us these medications that limit our spiritual gifts, giving us this poison water, the poison food, all this poison, these toxins, this radiation to keep us dormant, our inner eye, our intuition, to keep a docile collective. That's why all these psychedelics are illegal, because they show you that you have this information within you. You are a powerful being. That's why they keep you in this matrix so you don't meditate. You don't give yourself time to meditate. Meditation is the true medication. You can heal yourself. You can unlock so much stuff. You can heal yourself mentally and physically through medication, because the mind is the most powerful tool we all have. But they purposely make us docile and not be able to use our mind. And I think plant medicine and these cheat codes, as I say in the book, are these reminders to keep us in here, to tell us that we have inner this inner light within us, as the Gnostics teach, where there's an inner knowledge, there's an inner light, inner being within you, and that's the key to escaping.
Right. Oh my gosh. When you talked about so let's talk about your book, because I think it's amazing. And, you're about the signs, and I love numbers and you love numerology, and people, finally open their eyes to seeing, you know, I always say magic, but, the signs that are always there leading you. Why did you name what called you to do that? Like, why that?
How to listen to the universe?
Yeah.
Because the universe gives me signs every single day, and it's just a matter of tapping in and paying attention to the universe. So I look at it as the universe doesn't speak to us as how you and I are talking. It speaks in codes, a drink of codes to be for exact, where you see these repeating synchronicities, such as numerology, where you got what some people will call angel numbers. This is the universe way of telling you this is what's happening in your life, and you need to change it. You have, for example, 555. I remember seeing 555 the day my uncle was getting married. He didn't know that what that meant, but I knew that big changes were happening because that's what five represents, change coming about your life. He had this typical routine of being stuck in his Monday through Friday routine and never traveling the world doing anything, but he meets and marries this woman. Now he has one of the best lives he ever had. But I remember the clock felt like it was stuck when I glanced over and saw 555. But I know that seeing certain numbers are just the universe's way of talking to you, not just numbers. It could be animals, cardinals. It could be, though they represent past loved ones. It could be these different synchronicities that are happening, and you're just like, why is this happening? But it's the universe way of reflecting, like going back to past lives. Certain things will play out from your past life in your current life. For example, my me being a mechanic in a past life and having a bad relationship with a brother, that was the universe way of relaying this message to me is my current girlfriend, her brothers are nothing but loving brothers.
Yeah,
See these reoccurring cycles, these reoccurring themes that are playing out. They're just reflecting. This is the universe's way of talking to you. And I feel like my purpose with this book was just to help others through my experience recognize that the universe is communicating with you through this. Another good example, when I said my girlfriend has Find My Eyes as her motto with her kids, I had an experience where the universe told me to find my eyes, and it was an eye that lit up on her chest as I came out of this experience where it was like, this is who is meant to help you through this journey.
yeah,
You always listen to the universe and listen, you always have success. And that's when I decided to write the book, was after that particular experience where I said, okay, I'm listening, because the universe wanted to teach me when I did had these experiences where it said, look, you need to take control of this substance, take control of yourself. And once you learn to take control of yourself, I want you to learn how to recognize me, find my eyes. When you find my eyes, that's when you teach others how to find my eyes. And that's how the book came about.
I love it so much. Anything else that I've missed before we end, Marco?
I honestly think we covered a lot. I don't even know what particular segment you would use. This was a great conversation, and I just don't realize I just go off on these tangents, and it's all here. But I enjoyed this conversation, and I honestly don't know if I have anything else in me unless you pull it out.
Oh, I could pull it out because I love to do that. But I've just loved learning about you, and I've learned so much. And I'll keep, just to follow you on Instagram and TikTok. Where else? Buy your book, and
Yeah, you could find me Marco J. Williams. If anyone who wants to find me, it's just Marco J. Williams. And if you could search me online, you'll find the book, you'll find How to Listen to the Universe, you'll find all of that if anyone's interested in finding me. And I'm always open to questions for anyone who wants to ask. So I don't where will this podcast be available?
it will go on my YouTube channel and then on all podcast players. And it'll be
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So
everywhere.
for
You'll be
those For those listening, you can find me Marco J. Williams. I shouldn't be that hard to pop up unless they decide to delete me, but I don't think they're deleting me anytime soon because we're truthfully aligning to what we're all destined to do.
I love it. Thank you so much, Marco.
No problem. Thank you for having me today.
You're so welcome.